Aston Martin has taken the roof off the 214-mile-an-hour Vanquish, making it the fastest drop-head Grand Tourer in the world. After driving the coupe last year, I was blown away by its performance. What? That should be illegal! But now, the option is here to enjoy that twin-turbo V12 with the top down. But the updates don't stop there.
So you've taken the roof off one of the fastest cars that I drove last year.
Indeed.
Very cool. So when I stepped out of that car, I mean, I was blown away because when you see it in proportion, it's not small, but crikey, it's agile.
Yeah.
I mean, it shrinks around you. It was an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's incredible. We obviously wanted the wheelbase to give that kind of stunning visual look, particularly from the A-post to the axle, the dash-to axle proportion.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the program and as with everything we've done in the last 2 years has been to drive a much more dynamic platform into all of our cars, and yeah, very much. That was what you experienced when you. It was
very cool. It was it was so good. I think one of the things that I was most taken with, because even though it was sunny the night before, it had rained and the floor was damp. And remind me the torque figure on this. It's like
1,000
newton meters of torque.
Yeah.
Right. So if you'd have looked at this road surface, there was grit and grime and damp, and it just put it all down. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest shift on the new platform that we put in, is the ability to get kind of class-leading power figures. That's okay, but you've got to get it onto the road,
Sure.
particularly with rear drive only. And really, the new chassis technologies and going with bespoke tyre programs has really given us that. And that's the biggest single leap in terms of experience of driving the most powerful Astons. I think the top of our range. Now the cars put the power down in such an effective way.
So you would be forgiven for thinking that because you've taken the roof off, has it become a softer version of Vanquish, or is it as it was with the roof off?
So the aim of the program was to maintain that character we created in the coupe. So it's incredibly dynamic, very flat in the corners, but with a really nice kind of glide to it. And that's the breadth of operation that we've got with this Bilstein DTX system. The car is slightly heavier as a result of the roof. Most of that mass is just in the rear, obviously where the roof itself is, plus the mechanism. And that's changed the weight distribution slightly on the car. So we're 51-49 rear to front bias, and that's required some work on the tuning of the dampers just to regain the exact feel of the coupe.
Okay, so it's really been more about just retaining the DNA of it, rather than sort of making it feel different.
And it's often said, but it is no compromise. What we knew we had a very, very stiff platform. It's over 80% stiffer than the previous generation car, the DBS.
Wow.
So, masses of work done in the original program design. It's obviously it's on its own platform, hence the extra wheelbase. And that allows the dampers to do their work. So really the sensitive area is how do you tune them, but it does give you the flexibility to then make the Volante like the coupe.
Remind me how many different axes of yaw that DTX picks up. Is it like 6 or something?
6 axis,
right.
accelerometers and so on in the system. So yeah, I mean it's a predictive algorithm as well. So it's constantly monitoring the car, integrated control unit that runs the system and then pairs that with the other control systems you have on the car, the traction control, the way the gearbox works and so on. For us really in the ride and handling, the key for the modern Aston is that coherence of control. The steering, braking, acceleration and the steering on transition is all very linear and at the same speed, and that gives you really that consistent feel that we're looking for. Everything is in tandem and at the right speed.
It's funny, there's not many cars that pull off an aesthetic when you remove the roof as well as the coupe. This really suits it. It's mega. And
I think always with a coupe, you've got attention goes to the overall silhouette. You follow it front to back. When you take the roof off, quite often your eye line follows everything from sort of the A-post backwards.
Yeah.
Because we've got this extra length between the A-post and the front wheel, you really read the car as super sleek right from front to back. It doesn't look snub-nosed. It's a beautiful aesthetic. It's got real presence with roof up or down.
So roof speeds then, is it 14 seconds up?
Yes, 16 down.
16 down.
Yeah, up to 31 miles an hour, so you can do it on the move if the weather changes.
Okay, and most of the additional weight over the coupe is from the roof. It's not necessarily any structural work that you've
No, there's a small amount of work on some of the cross brace in the middle of the car, but yeah, I mean, almost all of the weight delta is driven by the roof itself. So we've got an 8-layer, fully sort of soundproof roof with then obviously the electric mechanism, and that's where the weight delta comes from.
And the cross brace, which is actually on show, you've managed to make that look cool as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece, and that's just to bring some, again, matching the rigidity of the coupe.
Did I read right? You can do 214 miles an hour in this with the top
With the
off.
roof down, yeah, that's right.
Has anyone tested that one yet?
Your
hair's looking pretty swift here.
No, but it's been tested.
That's bonkers.
Which is, it's our fastest open roof production car that we've done.
So when you were developing the Vanquish from scratch, I'm assuming you had this as part of the plan. It wasn't a sort of, okay, it's done well, let's take off the top.
No, I mean, generally with open top Astons, but in some markets, the mix for Volante is as much as 50%, particularly in North America, which is a really important market for us. But equally in Europe, it's around 40%. So when we conceived the program to build the flagship, we always had a Volante in the concept from the start.
So when you were developing this, I mean, the fact that this even exists in this current climate should be celebrated. It's wild that you managed to achieve a new twin turbocharger V12.
We talked about this before, but post-COVID, it looked madness to invest in an all-new V12. And I think the whole of the sort of the high-performance luxury industry was looking at really where to place bets, which direction to go in. We pushed hard in the end for the V12, and we said, look, we want to be at least until the end of the decade with V12. We hope to go beyond, but certainly end of the decade. And really now, a couple of years since COVID, it looks like the right call, because that resurgence, that desire for special use, high displacement, multi-cylinder engines has really come back, and you're seeing it from a number of different manufacturers. So it's a miracle that it's here, because obviously here today makes sense, but the investment decisions made years ago.
So genuinely then, back then it was a sort of roll of the dice, was it? It was like,
I mean, if you look post-COVID, there was a huge surge in the electric market, so pure EV, and legislation was sort of set in that direction. Things have changed. Certainly the main thing for us is consumer demand in high performance in the luxury space for EV, is, particularly in sports cars, is yet to really take off. And so we saw a longer runway for, the high performance, particularly V12. If you're going to have an engine,
go for it.
This should be the last one.
Go for it. Yeah. Fabulous. Well, I mean, having been in the fortunate position of being able to experience this, what it does for the term thoroughbredness of it is amazing. I mean, when you're behind it, the torque is phenomenal. Like really outstanding.
So, I mean, twin turbocharged, but, we put a lot of effort into the sound quality. So all new exhaust systems, but also on, the boost reserve system, which you'll experience in the coupe, which means as soon as you're on throttle on tip-in, it's instant. It feels naturally aspirated.
Yeah, there's no lag in it.
There's no lag.
Which for something so big is an amazing achievement, isn't it?
And it makes the car feel light, responsive. Again, it feels like it shortens the chassis. The whole thing comes alive, because as soon as you tip in, mid-corner, you can really balance the car. Traditionally, with obviously twin turbos, that's more difficult because you're spooling them up and down. But that's been a big part of it. The other thing, obviously, and you can see this with the hood open, is how far back with this wheelbase we're able to set the engine.
I mean, would you class this as front mid? I mean, it's so far back.
We describe it as front mid engine because it sits, all of the mass of the engine sits behind the front axle. It means that over sort of 85% of the overall vehicle mass is between the axles, even on the Volante. So you've got a very balanced car, very predictable handling, and very responsive.
Speaking of sound, obviously this is probably an obvious statement, but surely with the top off, I mean, even the coupe sounds great, but surely with the top off, it must be amazing.
Yeah, it's sensational. And the great thing about the sound response is we said we wanted a car that was, had great sound at low speed, because, majority of real world driving is at low speed, urban areas and so on. We've got that kind of baritone V12 sound at low RPM. And then it really sings if you push it. Particularly, we've got the titanium exhaust, and that has a slightly higher pitch, a stronger sort of higher order as you go through the RPM. And obviously, with the roof down, you just bring that sound in all the time. Want to put the roof up?
So you can actually activate it off the key. You don't have to be inside it.
Yep, exactly.
So I'm just holding it. That's very cool.
Means you can arrive with the roof down, get out, and then deal with this.
Or if you're in the restaurant and it starts raining, you can just
deal with it afterwards. Exactly.
And that was 14 seconds. It feels much faster. It's like really fast.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And obviously worked a lot on, the dampening, the precision of the mechanism. So,
Yeah.
Each connection is very soft and as silent as possible.
Looks very cool now. Even just being in it, I mean, when can I drive this, Alex? It's very cool.
Soon.
Soon?
Yeah. A couple of months.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've done some updates, actually.
Yeah. So obviously we've spoken before about the new touchscreen infotainment system that's rolled out across the range. What's important on this car is we've listened to customer feedback on the coupe and we made some pretty important changes. The first was on the main driver screen. We've increased font size across a number of the key areas, primarily, and I know you had this feedback.
Yes.
Which gear am I in?
Have you made the upgrade?
Yes.
Really?
So the gear, current gear is now
cool.
indicated inside the rev counter and is very visible because I think particularly in aggressive driving,
Yes.
you don't want to be staring down to find which gear you're in. It's very obvious. So that was a big part of the feedback. And then the second part, there are lots of changes in terms of simplifying some of the menus here, but one of the key ones is the ADAS switch. So the new legislation means every time you key on the car, ADAS goes back to all on. We can't do anything about the legislation. What we can do is a simple button here, one touch there, and then no assistance here, and you can switch.
Oh my day, are you serious?
The system's off, yeah. So it stops all the bings and the bongs, allows you to drive as you normally would. Of course, if you want to bring it back on, you can just activate or create your own bespoke settings.
You just made the most important button in the automotive industry.
Yes, it's necessary.
So beforehand, in not just your brand, but most brands, you have to go into submenu after submenu to individually turn off things like assistance systems, which, frankly speaking, are intervening systems.
Yes.
Right? And you used to have to go in, and it was submenus under submenus, and individually turn them all off.
Yeah.
And then you would park up and turn your car off, and they'd all reset themselves.
They'll
again.
come back on.
And you've made a button that you can press it here and then go off.
Yep, so that was customer feedback. And also part of what we wanted to do with this new system was have the ability to keep improving it, keep maintaining it and updating it and making it better for the customers. So for all of the coupes that we've delivered, those customers can get this upgrade as well. So we'll reflash all their software. And that's something we'll do throughout the life of the car, is continue to improve the software across all our new models.
First of all, I'm impressed that you've actually listened, because most brands just go, yeah, cool. But not only have you listened to it, you've implemented it within a very short time frame.
Yeah, it's a huge
cool.
focus. I mean, for the whole industry now, software is obviously key.
Yeah.
But as a luxury brand with lower volumes, we can be much more responsive, and also we have a lot of contact time with our customers. Both at Formula One, at launch events, we have that much direct contact with people. We can get immediate feedback, and I think the HMI team have done a great job in turning it around.
And then just as a top line reminder, the investment that you put into this.
I think we tested obviously hundreds of systems going into the development. The big thing was having a processor that was twice as powerful as we needed it to be.
Right.
And that left a lot of latency for system upgrades, but also when you're running simultaneous functions. So if you're running CarPlay plus you're navigating plus you're making a phone call or whatever, that can load up the CPU and reduce response times. We didn't want that. So there's a lot of latency in the system by design, and that enables that very instant response on the touch.
I mean, it's great, isn't it? It's like
it's
transformed
the cabin. And the nice simple menus, the icons now with the new software are much bigger. So the strike zone is bigger to hit each of the switches. So it will continuously evolve. And in addition to which we use over the air updates, so we can push software out to the cars in the field.
So this infotainment update and this button update, does that also apply to the latest gen 707?
Yes, yeah. So it'll be across all the cars actually. So from DB12, Vantage, DBX 707, and now Vanquish.
Brilliant. If you have one of those generations, get it in immediately and do that.
Absolutely.
it's so helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly, Aston is on a roll right now, with big headline figures of speed and power down to the nuanced updates and upgrades as a result of customer feedback. Now all is left is to drive it. South of France, anyone?